Welcome back to the Marketing Madmen. Trip Job and Nick Constantino here with Heather Heydet from Marketex. And, you know, we've talked a lot, and look, you said, hey, I'll walk away. There's some businesses that aren't ready. But the ones that you have worked with, there still has to be, you know, all of a sudden you kind of run into that wall.
Yeah.
All right.
Working on different wavelengths.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wait a second. What's the biggest maybe challenge you sometimes have to break through to help them?
Honestly, the biggest one is the business owner who has kept everything close to the vest. They don't share numbers that, you know, their team members may not even know what the annual revenues are. You know, forget P&Ls.
How could you be invested in something that you have no equivocal idea of where?
Yes.
They know we have 8 trucks, and that's about it.
Exactly. So information is not shared, and decisions are also not shared. And maybe ideas are somewhat welcome, but seldom implemented or considered. Those are the business owners that are just, they're ready to grow. They're frustrated, and honestly, I've seen this now twice where people went from I'm not sharing anything to okay, let's do this, and then recognizing that they have strong people on their teams who are hungry for this.
Yeah.
And they know that, but they just, it's that trusting, it's that, okay.
Those are usually, in my experience, those people that are the most close to us are still the most passionate about what they do. And sometimes the contagious passion is enough for some employees. They'll buy into that compassion, they'll buy into that passion because they just want to belong to something, or they're making good money, or they don't have it themselves. But you're right, it gets to a point where that stagnates and stops. And I think one of the things, the world today, it's easier to find information. So when you start finding out your owner's address and where they live and how much their house is worth on Zillow, and you can look things up on, and you find out, like, because you can go to the Better Business Bureau and see what revenues are. There's easy ways to find things out. So once you start finding out, you're like, wait a second, this dude won't give me $4 more, and he's got this. That's when resentment starts, and that is the crux of any business.
Totally agree. So the more transparent you are, you're still going to get questions. You know, why are we spending so much on this, and this, even when you show them a P&L? But at least you can give them, you know, a case for why.
Because I said so doesn't work. I learned that in parenting. Like, that is, you're just in trouble. Because I said so, which is all my father said to me my whole life, is because it doesn't work in business, it doesn't work in parenting either anymore.
Well, and here's the beauty of when you do open things up and you have your leadership team become part of even putting budgets together. Guess what we find? What's this line item? Anybody know what this is? And, you know, huge software licenses that we assume somebody's using.
No one's using them.
Nobody's using them. We've been doing it for years. So there's also the benefit of having other people involved in this process, other than your trusted accountant, because these are the people who know a lot of these line items and whether or not they're either really needed or if they're even being used. So a lot of times I'll say, if you're worried about, because the other thing is a lot of people, they look at my fee and say, oh my gosh, do I really want to do this if it's going to cost me this? And I'll say, if you're willing to have a discussion about your P&L, unless you know where every single dollar goes, and they'll say, I can usually find my fee just in things that we're spending money on that we don't even know what we're spending money on.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're out there, a business owner, and you're listening, and this is starting to resonate.
I think let's give a little checklist. Let's give a little like a self-awareness assessment. Let's call it. So give some things for a person to think about if this type of service is something that they should really be exploring.
Okay, love it. And I'm going to flip it and say these are the types of business owners that have been successful in this process.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Sales 101. Bring it back to what's worked in the past, so we're not putting anything new on you. Go ahead.
Number one, they have hit the point where they are stuck from a revenue and an EBITDA standpoint. They cannot grow.
And then let's clarify growth, because people miss, like, up 10% one year and down 10% one year still equals flat, right? Up,
couple years,
down 6,
however,
even 1 or 2%. Let's not say you're just, it fluctuates, but your straight line regression of where you are
if you're back where you were pre-COVID,
it's flat. So again, because growth is different for everybody. Like, you can be down and then up, but you're not up if you were down 3% last year and you're up 3% this year. You're flat.
And we also have to compare it to the industry. So, you know, if your industry's down and you're down, but you're not as down as much as the industry, then you're outperforming the industry. Same as in reverse is true too. But I'm talking about the owner knows this is, we're not getting our fair share. I'm in a bloody red ocean of competitors, and I can feel that they're winning more deals now than I am. That it's that sense of I'm not winning as much as I want to win. I'm not getting the share that I want, and I know it, but I don't know what to do. Number one, you are now ready to grow, but that assumes that you want to have some significant growth goals. If you're looking at, I just want to have, a modest increase in my own personal salary, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
This is for somebody who wants to actually grow a business that you can leave to someone else to grow. It grows beyond you.
Yeah.
It's not
or
just,
sell for the maximum value.
Absolutely.
Or sell for that, because even as the team.
Sell. Absolutely. The other thing is, and this is the hardest one, is you're willing to make changes. You're willing to consider doing things differently. It's also taking on another expense, because let's face it, this is an expense.
Yeah. But we shouldn't look at it as an expense, because like everything in marketing, if you look at it as an expense, you're screwed. It is an investment. And if you look at it as an investment, it's going to pay dividends.
But I get it.
I'm giving the speech,
and I love it. But I'm in the small business owner set. Okay, yeah, right. I'm adding a line item that I didn't have before. So that's where I get back to. Let's find it. We can probably cut it out of some things that if we really take a sniff in your P&L. And then the other thing is we are now going to re-energize your entire team, because this team is loaded with people who have ideas. They see, and I'll be honest with you, that's sometimes frustrating for me, is that I'm working with these people and they see some ideas finally come to fruition, and they think, you know what, I've been saying that for years. I've been wanting to do that for years. And you're right. But let's look at it. We have a win now, right?
What about the other one I'm going to throw out? The one that's the rotating chairs. So they've tried different quote people. And but same owner, and they're in that boat.
Okay, let's talk about, earlier we talked about value versus price, okay? My guess is the reason you've had rotating chairs is the owner is frustrated because they're not getting the growth, and they're pounding on their people to produce growth, but yet the only thing they have to compete on is price and relationship. And I'll call it, maybe you have a reputation, but a reputation is haphazard. A brand is intentional. A brand is something that people hear over and over and over again, and they go, I like that and I want that, versus, oh, I heard they're okay. Well, I heard they're really good. Right? That's haphazard.
And both can disappear quickly. I will say, I've seen both.
You got to work hard at it to maintain.
And I've seen, some companies that used to be the ones that were the value oriented, and they were the service ones, and they would come and they'd look, and then the ones that were price oriented. And I've seen them switch into categories. So those things change much more fluid than people think.
Yeah,
absolutely. So last minute, how do people, if it resonates, how do they catch up with you, Heather?
You can go to my website. It's marketex.com. That's marketekes.com. And you can fill out a form there, and we'll get a discussion going to see if this is a process that works for you.
Yeah, don't be scared. Wake up one day, look at your P&L, look at it, find where you are, and decide at the very least have a conversation, because it might open some eyes.
Yeah, and I think the key is, are you willing to have that honest look in the mirror, right? And if you're not looking in the mirror and realizing you're a part of this, I think, which is key, then it's probably going to be a challenge. To hear things that you may need to hear.
Yes, and I will say this too: I have to have an honest assessment in the mirror too. If I don't see a path to value or a path to growth, we're going to talk about that too in our assessment, because we're not going to embark on something where I don't genuinely feel like we can make a difference.
Super. Heather, thanks for joining us. It's been a great conversation.
It's been fun. Thanks, guys.
All right. You've been listening to Marketing Mad Men on Extra 106.3. We'll be back next week.